You're listening to the Microsoft Innovation Podcast, where we explore the intersection of people, business, and technology. This year, we're adding a new show to our lineup, The AI Advantage, to help you learn the skills you need to thrive in the AI era.
Welcome to the MVP Show. My intention is that you listen to the stories of these MVP guests and are inspired to become an MVP and bring value to the world through your skills. If you have not checked it out already, I do a YouTube series called How to Become an MVP. The link is in the show notes. With that, let's get on with the show. Chris is Microsoft Practice Director at A&M and a newly minted Microsoft MVP, class of 2024. He's joining me today from South Carolina in the United States. Chris turns bold ideas into practical outcomes, partnering with talented teams and global collaborators to help customers smash their business goals with innovative solutions. You'll find his full bio and socials in the show notes for this episode. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, appreciate you having me on.
Good to have you on. Kind of interested in drilling into kind of what your day-to-day world looks like, working partner side, and your journey to becoming an MVP. Tell me a bit about, before we get started, food, family, and fun. What do you do when you're not working?
Last year, we bought a farm. So we bought 5.5 acres out in the middle of nowhere. It was raw pasture land, but the house was already on it. But we're developing the farm over the past year. So if I'm not working, sitting at my desk or on an airplane somewhere, I'm out in the pastures and in the fields, making sure all the animals and stuff are good to go. It's keeps me grounded. So family, wife, kids. We got 2 kids, 2 little ones. They surprisingly like life on the farm. You would not think kids these days would like it, but the kids, they just love it, right? It's awesome. They also like the fact that, dad is into all the tech stuff. So if they need anything, dad can just fix it. So there's that part of it as well.
That is epic. It's I couldn't believe it when you just said that. I have an 1.5 acre property, so I'm big into creating what's called a syntropic forest. I'm off-grid in everything apart from power, and then I've got my own backup generators and stuff for that scenario as well. So all my water supply, all my septic systems all run, all self-contained on my property, which I've built from a blank piece of land that was fully overgrown. I cut down everything. I left 1 tree originally standing, and now I've got around 6,000 trees planted. So, I get where you're at, and I love it. My kids love it as well. They want to be outside with me all the time. First thing in the morning, we get up, we go out to the greenhouse, see how the plants are done overnight, and they always want to be in the garden. They just love this type of lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, they like going checking on the chickens because we just had some chicks hatch. So now the exciting part is running out and looking at the baby chicks, see how they're doing.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Tell me, I see your area of expertise in Microsoft is Copilot. What's been your journey in that space?
So when they first announced Copilot, it was something that just super fascinated me. So I just kind of jumped in the deep end on it and learned as much as I could. And as the kind of journey went along with some of the friends that I have at Microsoft too, we just started doing a bunch of enablement sessions with how the marketing buzz that they do, right, kind of actually comes into play for real world. And as I did more and more of the art of the possible that Microsoft calls it, more and more of those kind of trainings, the more I found myself really just engulfing myself even more and learning more about it and how I can use it in my day-to-day and how I can help other people use it in their day-to-day. And it's not like, it's one of those things, once you find something that clicks, it doesn't become work, it becomes a passion, so to speak. And that's how this technology has really felt for me, because I'm sure you have too. If you looked into studies, like you can save a handful of hours per month on this, and the ROI is like immediately there. If you use this right, I mean, you could save 15 hours per month if you do it right. And so my whole goal is, how can I be more efficient and effective at what I'm doing with the tools that I have. And that's just kind of what it did for me, is like, I'm no longer just struggling looking through the boards or looking for this. It's like you using all the power that you have with all the AI just tools, like everywhere. The tools are everywhere inside the ecosystem now. Just in the term that I use, if you've listened to anything else I've done, like how you can just supercharge things. And it's truly that.
How do you run these enablement programs? Like, what's the building blocks of them?
So it's the keyword. I mean, it's funny. I saw a meme come across one of our team channels this morning. It's like, how did you get the funding for that? If you put the words AI in there, then it automatically gets approved, right? It's the new cybersecurity kind of buzzword that always got approved. So everybody wants to know about AI. And then everybody's scared about AI because you hear about where some source code got leaked for this, or something, trade secrets got leaked for that. And so how do people know that it's actually safe? And that took me into like the enterprise data protection that comes with it. And so I tell people on how it's stored inside the tenant, how it's saved inside the tenant. It's not used for training purposes. And then we kind of take it the next step further, where we talk about, don't use it just because it's AI. Then you're failing, right? If you don't have a true on use case or an objective that you're trying to solve, if you're just doing it for AI's sake, then it's not the product for you. Like that, like when you were talking about my bio, it's like, if you're doing technology for technology's sake, you're already losing. So use technology to solve a problem. And so the building blocks is, what problems, what challenges are you having? And that's kind of the attack that I go.
So are you doing this for customers?
It's weird. I do it for customers. I'm doing it inside the organization as well. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a both, because when I came to the company that I'm at currently, they were super security focused, as they should, as all companies should be. But they were not as in touch with the AI capabilities. And then I showed them at SKO the year, like, because Copilot was announced later in the year, and then like our SKO happened. And so when I got my turn to present at our kickoff, and I used Copilot there, the buzz around the whole show, like everybody was messaging the owner and then my boss and their directors, like, when can we get this? When can we get this? Right. And so doing it inside the organization and then outside to our clients as well.
Nice. What did you show in that presentation that got that buzz going? I kind of want to find what's the catalyst that turns people from, one, being fearful, right? I heard an interesting quote, and it was, when Microsoft Teams went crazy, right? What caused Microsoft Teams to go crazy? It was COVID, right? It happened not because of good marketing. It happened because there was a global crisis and everybody stopped going to the office and working, and so Teams became that tool. Where it might have been used for chat in the past, it became very much the front and center video tool, right, for communication. The thing is, nobody feared that Teams was going to take their job. But now you've got this media that's saying, hey, we're going to see massive job cuts. We're not going to recognize the workforce in 5 years' time. So there's an element of skepticism from customers now going, from individuals, from people going, hang on a second, by me using this, is it going to replace me? And so I'm interested, if going back to that session, what was that spark that people went from a very security forward posture and not knowing much about AI to going to, you know what, we need to get involved?
So because I work at an organization where we're a value-added reseller, right? So we sell services and we sell products. If you're not on the wrench turning side of things, you're in kind of a day of meetings, right? That's what you have. Your calendar is double booked, triple booked. I mean, it's not as much anymore because I use the technology, but people need that time back. And so I was telling them things like, if you could create a PowerPoint in 25% less time, if you could be in meetings without having to recap it for you, or if you need to polish up what's hot in my inbox or polish up an email, like instead of review, like you're writing it and then you're reviewing it and then you're tweaking it and you're reviewing and tweaking it. What if you take some of that out? What if I can give you iteratively throughout your whole week? What if I could give you a couple hours back? Would that interest you? And granted, as we've used this more, we know it's more than a couple hours, right? But if you just start showing them how it can trickle in versus being a big bang, because nobody wants the big bang. Like you don't want to move their cheese so far down the road. But if you can just show them, you're not looking at a blank Word doc, you're not looking at a blank PowerPoint, you're not looking at a blank email. Like you don't have to even read, like you just got brought into a thread of an email. It's like, crap, I don't have 20 minutes to kind of go all the way down and then read all the way up. It's like, hey, summarize this for me so I know how to respond. Like if I can give you just iteratively throughout your day, pull little parts back, would you want that? And then I showed them with some of the hype videos that Microsoft has, and you kind of pair those together. And as a company from our org, we were bought in.
Yeah.
But then to the point, it got a little scary, right? Who has access to my data? And that's where I really come in, and then I show people, here's how you can do it safely and protect your data. And that's a whole other conversation.
Let's just drill into email just for 1 second, because I was listening to Scott Hanselman the other day on a video last Friday. And in it, he was like, if my prompt is going to take me 1.5 minutes to write, why wouldn't I just write the email? Right? When it says, you jump into email and it says, hey, let's use Copilot to help you write this. And then you craft a prompt and you're like, well, I could have written email in that time. And he brought up an interesting thing. What about when that email prompt, if you like, at that point has memory, which of course we know is coming in the platform, and it can remember the last 9 months of a conversation that I've had with you via email. So in other words, not just taking context of the email today and let's say just what's in the immediate thread, but it has context of all our emails that you and I have had over that period of time. And let's say 9 months is a nice window of size that you would understand what we communicate about if we're frequent communicators via email. Do you see that people are just like blown away that it helps them draft an email or coaches them on an email? Or is it enough yet that, and I'm just talking about the Copilot email experience at the moment, not Teams and all the other type of great things that you can do with it?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that develops. I was in the conversations when they were talking about the stored history, but the way how I've been telling people to use it is go ahead and respond, but don't send, and let it auto rewrite. Because if you just jot your notes down, like maybe this is just how I work. Like when I write an email, I'm just going to type my notes down really quick. I'm not going to hit send, and then I'm going to craft it into an actual email. So now, like I don't have to craft the email. I just jot my notes down on how I want to respond, and then hit auto rewrite. And then sounds like me, and I'm done, right? So it did, like, again, goes back to that iterative thing. I took 2 steps out for me because all I'm doing now is like how I tell people to build a PowerPoint. I'm just outlining it and letting it do it for me. Because when you build a PowerPoint, like you can go into PowerPoint, say, create me a presentation on X, Y, and Z. To be honest, it's not going to be what you want. But if you give it an outline first, then it's going to be what you want. So not to be like kind of cliche, but it's when this was first coming out, he was listening to what Jared said, Jared Spatero. It's truly meant to be somebody sitting in the pilot seat with you. Like it's a co-pilot. It's not here to do your job. It's somebody to assist you with your job. So if you think about it that way, there's always going to be the scare tactics of AI is going to take your job. It's always going to be there. But right now it's not innovative, right? So if you can, and here's another term that I throw around, and this is what really helps people kind of think of how this can empower them. If you can get out of this mode where you're just kind of trying to make it by, you're just trying to survive, and you can move into this moment where you're actually thriving. So if you go from surviving to thriving because you purchased a tool, that's worth it, right? So now you can start accelerating and enhancing your business versus just trying to keep the lights on.
I love it. I love it. That surviving, moving from surviving to thriving. And, I heard a lady say, I don't need a tool to make me more productive. I'm super productive. Like the issue is that my day is longer than I have hours. In other words, my tasks, my activities. And so I like this word efficiency, right? Makes me more efficient. If I can, she was saying, don't make me more productive so I can get more done at work. Make me productive so I can finish work on time and go home to my family, right? And I was just like, the whole M365 story, forget Copilot, the M365 story has been sold on productivity. And I think people are wanting more than productivity nowadays. And I like that. What was that phrase you just had then around becoming super, it wasn't efficient. What was it?
Supercharge your productivity.
You were saying something, you just said something that I said, I really like that phrase, which is,
go from surviving to thriving.
That's it. Surviving to thriving. I think that totally captures something, that people are in the survival mode of work and they could go into thrive mode by enabling this technology. We're recording this in May, and Microsoft is dropping a bunch of stuff this month for Copilot.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Every week.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's the velocity that they're adding things. I mean, even in the MVP channels, it's just hard to keep up with the velocity that they're adding things. I'm glad that they are. I'm glad that they're investing in this technology. I'm glad they're trying to be on this razor cutting edge of what it's doing, but not so bleeding that they're kind of leading it astray. They are letting some other companies do some things first. And if you think about it, I'm glad they are, because then they can benefit from, well, I don't really like how that's going, and let's try to take it a different direction. But they also have the part where a lot of the other companies in the AI world, they don't have the EDP, right? The enterprise data protection, because a lot of the things they're using, the other companies, that is the prompts that they're using those to train. In my opinion, I'm glad that they're not Microsoft, that is.
Are there any things that you're kind of like, I wish it did this, but it does this type scenario? And I'll give you 2 examples that I have run into. I've only got 2 that are my kind of pet little peeves. Let's say I do a sales call and I've got transcription on, I've said, done the, hey, is it all right if we transcribe a meeting, etc. And it's great, right? You get a summary, what do we agree, action items, etc. I wanted to run a prompt that said, hey, you're an expert sales coach, and I want you to retrospectively look at this call. So this is after the meeting, right? Where did I not do so great? And its RAI kicked in and said, sorry, I can't give you any advice. And I was like, that's random. Like, I've asked you specifically to coach me on how I could have done this better. And obviously, RAI kicked in. The other one I did, which ticks me off, is I ask for a bunch of links. So I say, hey, listen, give me a list of companies in Canada that are Microsoft partners that are in the SMC space, and a link to their website, just so I can go check out their website. It gives me a nice table in Loop, right? Puts the company name, puts the URL, and then within 3 seconds, it removes the URL, redacts it all out, and says, sorry, to protect your privacy, I'm removing the URL. I'm like, I just asked you for it. Now, I don't need you to protect my privacy, because that's that's it. I'm protecting your privacy, hence removing the URL. And I'm like, that's frustrating to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's 2 things that come to mind. One, that they did at least finally announce, and so it's coming out. And the other one, they haven't fixed yet. But if you go to some of the other the images that they create, you don't have to worry about the trademark and the spelling of things. The other designer apps out there actually get it right. And because Microsoft has the copyright protection, right? Anything that it creates, that it's going to stand behind, so it can't use some logos, and it can't use some full on names. And so when you try to create an image in it, you can't use it unless you drop it into like Canva or something. So you have to take that extra. So that's annoying. I wish that I understand why it's annoying. So then I go to the other one that I don't have to do that, right? And then so I can say this because it's been released, and it came out in wave 2. So Copilot Notebooks came out, and I've been wanting that for a while, because the other one, I almost said it, the other one had projects, which was super slick. I mean, it's like exactly what you need. It's like you can save some chats, you can upload some documents, you can reason against like this subset of data where, yeah, Copilot can do it across the whole graph, or you can designate it to a whole SharePoint site, or you can designate it to just one document, but you can't collect a bunch of different artifacts. And that's been super helpful. Now, I don't have it yet, but doing it in the other one, it's going to be, as one of the posts that I put out there last week, it's going to be game changing in my opinion.
Yeah, it is, because what I'm finding I'm doing prompts that go over the course of a month to 6 weeks. In other words, I've done something, I come back to it, I do some more work on it, but I don't want to kind of reset all the context that I've already given it. And so that idea of having, what are they calling it? Is it projects?
No, that's what the other one calls it. It's called Copilot Notebooks.
Notebooks. That's it. Yeah. It's very interesting because it even comes with an audio feature like Gemini, right? For notebooks.
It does.
Yeah, it's interesting times. I love the speed of change. I love the new UI that it's going to. I think that's cool, getting the confusion out of what's on the right-hand side of the screen, having that structure on the left. It's I'm looking forward to everything that lands in my tenant, hopefully in the short term. Final questions. How'd you become an MVP?
So at a previous company, I worked with 2 different MVPs. They were on staff. They reported up to me, and I never really gave much weight into what it was to be an MVP, but I did get a lot of impact on what those 2 individuals did being an MVP, which being the community effort that you get from this. I'd always been super product knowledge relevant. Like, people always came to me as an expert on this solution or this product kind of thing, but I never really did the whole evangelism type thing. I did evangelism as my company, right? I was like, yeah, put me in front of anybody. I'll talk to them about whatever you want to talk about. But then I guess if you take it to transitioning it into the conference world, like, I never really thought it was useful for me as an individual to speak at a conference. But then I did it. And it took me back to the college years when I was on stage in bands. It's like, man, this is nothing. Like, I can talk in front of people drunk in a bar. I can talk to people at a conference. As long as I feel confident about the topic, then like, let's go kind of thing. And then that turned into being able to curate the content and set myself apart, where that actually helps me in my world, where I don't sell things, I educate people. So it's been how I've always done it, is just educate people on what the products out there and the challenges and the hurdles that they can overcome. And so I use the term that I tell a lot of people: I sell through education, right? I'm not here to sell you a box. I'm not here to sell you a license. I'm here to help you solve a problem. You tell me your problem and I'll educate you on how you can do it. If you want me to help you do that, then I'll do it, right? And so it's helped me kind of elevate myself in those situations where people hear me speak at conferences now, and they hear me speak on podcasts, and they hear me speak in video blogs that I do and other things that we put out there. And it's one of those things, I come into the conversation without having to prove my worth. Like, they already have it. So that's like kind of why I wanted to do it after I saw that you could get with all that. It was a long-winded answer. Sorry about that.
It's good, man. It's been good. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate your time, and thanks for the invite.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 Guy. If you like the show and want to be a supporter, check out buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 Guy. Thanks again, and see you next time.
Are you ready to accelerate your career in the Microsoft ecosystem? The 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, created by Mark Smith, is your opportunity to create a personalized pathway to success. Join over 1,200 alumni from more than 70 countries who have achieved remarkable results, from promotions to new job opportunities. Take it from Nathan, who said, "Since completing the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, I've become an MVP in business applications and doubled my income." Or from Parves, who shares, "I've never felt as inspired or energized about my career as I do now." Sign up at arcor.nz365guy.com. You can find the link in the show notes. And if you use the code podcast, you'll get 10% off.